we're going to talk a little bit today about extended descents. A lot of you have been reaching out kind of saying like, hey, I love your videos about the steep descents, but that descent's really short. What do I do when the going gets a little bit longer? And when I'm answering those questions, I'm always telling people that basically the bike is just going to return back to us anytime we hit any more level ground. But we're actually going to take a look at that today. So to start, I think let's go to the top of Predator. And we're going to take a little look here at a descent where it undulates a lot, meaning it goes from steep to kind of flatter to steep to flatter. We're going to be able to see here very clearly how the bike is returning underneath us and how we're able to maintain our stance over the bottom bracket. We really get a good side view, and this kind of comes back actually also to like one of the videos we did recently about getting low, right? So we see moments here where I look low, and moments where I'm standing tall. But most importantly for what we're looking for today, we can really see me moving toward the terrain and then letting the bike extend away from me. And we can see that quite clearly here. So then the bike is extending, and each time I hit one of these more level pieces of ground, that bike is returning back underneath me again. So pretty easy to see here. Let's take a look at you coming through as well, just to get an idea of this. So we can see this with two different size riders, because it does look actually quite different. You can see here, you're really inviting yourself toward the terrain. Knees are driving forward, bike's extending away, bike's returning back to you. And we actually see the same thing on the next section of trail. If we go down to the waterfall section of trail, it's a pretty chaotic section. There are a lot of big roots in here. And we can really see these rapid adjustments where the bike is coming back to me and then my arms are extending. And we see the same as you come through. So you're coming through, you're driving into this first terrain piece, arms extend, and then the bike is basically jockeying back and forth. You can think about this kind of like being a jockey on a horse, where the horse is running underneath us and always returning. Now, this changes when we get to a longer descent that's smooth, right? Because we're not going to get any return until the base of the descent. So let's take a look at a couple of those. Makes my stomach turn a little bit just looking at it. That's such a steep one. So on this one, we have like a lot of kind of like almost like pavered rocks. So there's a little bit of undulation on the way down, but there's nothing really enough for you to visibly see the bike moving back underneath us. And we only have a back view of it here. But what you can see is kind of the berm at the bottom here. You can really see the bike return underneath the rider at the base of the hill. So the bike's essentially moving out away from us, and then at the base of the hill, it's moving back in underneath us, and we're able to move right into our footwork and right into the turn here.
What I noticed in watching these clips, and also through all the World Cup footage that we've reviewed, is that good riders never get pulled off the back of their bike, unless they're doing a drop or a specific scenario. But on a steep descent, the steeper it gets, they drive into that because they never get fully extended.
Yeah, this is something we talk about sometimes. If you've studied some of our videos, you know, we talk about this idea of being at the end of your rope, which is unhealthy. It's really how we end up going over the handlebars. So maybe we come toward a steep descent, we get a little bit scared, and we get back before it, and then we come in and we run out of room in our arms, and that's kind of like a rope pulling us forward. So to your point, we're always staying centered in this space where we're somewhere between bars near the chest and arms almost fully extended. And we can even, like, without like letting ourselves be pulled, we can even go into a bit of scapular extension where we're able to like let our scapula kind of like come around. So we can actually get quite a bit of reach here moving through these zones. But again, to your point, we don't ever want to get here and be pulled forward. The other thing that's really important so that we're not pulled forward is that we're relaxed, right? Because I could actually be pulled forward simply from being tense. So like if I don't let my arms actually extend away and I'm really kind of like hanging onto the bike too tight, I'm not going to be able to get that free range. So this is something we talk about as a simple mantra for this, moving the knees toward the edge of the descent. So that's moving forward and then relaxing from the belly button up. So moving forward and relaxing. And we're always thinking about that slight nudge forward from the knees, moving in, getting a look at what we're going to do, relaxing and letting ourselves find center over the bottom bracket. Let's actually take a look at a big rock slab here. I think, yeah, right up here at the top of this rock slab that you're rolling in, you can really see your body driving forward here. So really nice aggressive movement. And then you kind of find your center here as you're rolling down this long, long rock slab up at Snoqualmie Pass. You're really centered over the bottom bracket the whole way until you hit dirt down here. And as soon as that dirt creates compression, we see that you're naturally pulled back and centered over the bottom bracket.
So basically what I'm hearing from all this is we have a couple different types of extended descents. Sometimes we're just going to drive forward once and let the bike roll, like in the short descents we did.
Absolutely.
And in some of these more complicated ones, we're driving forward and then extending, driving forward, and extending, driving forward, and extended as we go through these bumps.
Yeah, and really all these movements that you're speaking to are all in an effort to keep ourselves both centered over the bottom bracket and nice and relaxed so that our arms are in a space where we have enough space to both reach and to retract as we move down.
And we talked about this a lot on Braveheart, because Braveheart's a really good example of multiple descents within one descent. And so there are multiple times you have to drive forward.
Yeah, even on such a short little pitch, there's a bunch just going on there in a short amount of space. So this is really about finding center and like letting your arms run and keeping your center of mass over the bottom bracket. And sometimes that requires a little bit of initiative of moving in to the steep descent.
Yeah. What I tell a lot of my friends is it's not the steep descent that scares a lot of people, it's the turn at the bottom.
Yeah.
Because by the bottom, you'll get there. But most people aren't in the right position to be centered over their bike to make the turn. And that's where the crash is happening. It's not mid-descent, it's at the bottom when they're not in the right body position to execute the turn.
Yeah, and usually what happens there is people kind of let the bike just keep getting increasingly too far away from them. They get down to the turn and
they're off the back.
They're off
now
the back.
You can't corner.
And they've got no front end control. And as we've experienced in some of our other lessons, we can't actually turn our hips unless we're standing up, right? Unless we're in a position that allows us to turn the hips.
Yeah. Watching all this riding makes it actually kind of hard to be inside today, but this looks like fun.
Yeah, winter is upon us, so time for me to fly south. All right, hope you enjoyed this today. Stay tuned for more. Click to subscribe, and we'll see you next week.